When you sign that paper, you're legally signing your child from your legal parental guardianship and handing your child over to the forces of evil. The teacher is now your child's legal parental guardian for 7 to 8 hours a day, but it's not the child's decision, you know? And if you don't send them to school, they'll fight to take your child and have control over them. The Jewish takeover was in the 90s. Everybody's like, oh, remember the 90s? Yeah, the 90s were awesome, and all the artists were Jews. The singers, songwriters, movie stars, the Beatles were bigger than life, not God. The Jews were Jesus' people. The Jews were Jesus' people. Before Jew was a religion, we called them Jews. Now we just call their race Hebrews and we call their religion Judaism. They use logic and reason to reach God. I don't mean that they're not God's chosen people. I mean everyone has this YHVH strand of DNA, and taking the mRNA vax destroys your God's patented DNA and replaces it with their patented DNA. They encourage us to get boosted and then lie, saying that luciferase is not in the vaccine. Jesus was a Jew, or as we call today, a Hebrew, with God's DNA, and the law, money, business Jews accused him of blasphemy, aka lying about being the Messiah, and referred to him as not the Jesus of Nazareth, but a Nazarite. And he was turned on by his own people, Jews, who turned to the Roman hierarchy, the government, to crucify him, and that is the story of Jesus Christ. I don't believe that a fair God would have a chosen people, so I became a wizard so that I could tell you. I don't think the blue-eyed, blonde-haired German Aryans were the first Aryans, but that's not to say that the first Aryans were Jews. Anyhow, when I made Basin Street Blues, I wanted to make something we could all look at to stop the division. The only thing I'm noticing is the division. First thing you see on there's the Nabisco logo, and the last thing you see is the skunk. When I found out about the 2025 Super Bowl halftime, I logged in to a guest account on YouTube. Every video was 2025 halftime Super Bowl. Everyone was torn apart and divided. Old folks, like, I don't even understand what he's saying. What is he saying? And old heads, and old white folks, where's the jazz? They didn't have any jazz playing. Black people used to play jazz all the time. Well, the youth and blacks thought it was cool. Exactly 7 days before Kendrick Lamar 2025 Super Bowl, I posted Basin Street. Had no idea this was coming. The 2025 Oscars stage was the Freemasonic logo in shape. Who won the Oscars? The Oscar for Best Actor is a Jew, and the Oscar for Best Actress of the Year is also a Jew, and the Best Actress Woman of the Year. And one of the best movies of the year was about an OnlyFans girl, and it was basically softcore porn, and the lead actress was Jewish, and the OnlyFans is owned by a Jew.
No, I didn't know any of this. I didn't know that February was going to be Black History Month. I knew that February was Black History Month, and that's why I uploaded it in February. That's why I get a gold star. Okay, now that clip I can't see. That's funny. Nobody gets a gold star. Let me tell you something about getting a gold star. When you get a gold star in this world, it just burns and fades away into nothing. With the rest of humanity, it dies. Kendrick Lamar said the revolution is going to be televised, but the revolution is not going to be televised because it's an internal rebellion.
I was an experiment made for research. We were created with the blood of Black Doom and people who betrayed their own for research. They made a deal with the devil to have us created. Leave the past behind you, and from this moment on, no one can tell you what to do. Now that you know who you are, Black Doom has no control over you. They put my mind in a boy. They restricted my thinking to within the box. When I got out of high school, I realized I had PTSD and what it was from. And this traumatic experience that happened to me in first grade got resurfaced recently. It was a repressed memory, and my first grade teacher sat me in front of the class for blowing up and having a mental breakdown in front of the class because I was putting books away, and there was this kid who attacked me under a table and kept throwing the books down every time I would put them up. So she sat me in front of the class, facing the class, and when I was flustered, and after first grade I had retained hatred for everyone. I was not the same. I hate my life. School is still only focused on terrorizing kids. Like I was. They wanted to silence me to keep this a secret. If they're all going to heaven, if they receive a crown and every man a king, then I don't want to go be with them. No matter how many times I want to turn to the light to help me, I fail. I can't turn back to the light. They tried to kill me, trick me, and cover it up and get away with it. I'm a prophet. I want to help people I want help from people who backstab me and I was betrayed by humanity. No, that's not who I am. I wouldn't turn to the lights. I wouldn't turn to the lights, God's lights he puts in people that humiliated me and put me in a dark place to begin with. That's arrogance. They terrorized me and turned me away from that light. How could I lose to scum such as this? I hate humanity. The more we fuck with cops, the more it gives them a reason to fuck with us. The more they fuck with us, the more pissed off we get towards them. Black Doom gave us his power and he can take it away. Yuval Noah Harari thinks he can boss us all around by having us play video games and keeping us all distracted until they find a way to hook us up to the Matrix. These people are all being controlled by separate individual alien entities, and you gotta contemplate, is it really worth their time to send the army, military, SWAT, and another army of police after you just to take you out? Satan is nothing but one single entity, and he is being exposed. Whatever is attacking us is an alien force. Black Arms is a foreign terrorist organization. We don't even know where they're located because they're outside of our plane of existence. They're making me forget who I am. I'm losing myself, and I feel unappreciated. I have no point. It's like, you must appear as if you're a child in the eyes of the Lord. Stress, anxiety, and anger are the things that make us older. You know? You go through trials in your past life. You respawn. They make you get beaten up at school. You do it all over again for no reason. And if 95% of people want to send their kid to school to attack others and make victims participate in this system, then I'll fight to save the 1 or 0.1% that don't. See, I don't mind homeless or loiterers unless they attack or threaten people. Admire the world around you because your ancestors fought for your freedom even though the wars were pointless. That's what they would want you to do. But stand up, rise up, and speak out against it. Anyways, stay healthy and never stop thinking. Stay positive and stay happy. Don't let the world get you down. And, love thy enemy, and even if they kill you, because someone could, just like me, be the only hope of making it out of school. The more we roll over and the more we let them get away with this, the more they win. And school will never be stopped. The more we roll over and the more they get away with this, the more they win, and school will never stop purging the weak. If you ever see someone begin to throw a punch at you, you gotta move back fast and dodge and get out of there. But don't do anything about it. It's a piece of advice I've heard plenty times too much now. They're all shills. Even in the end times, the ones who go along with it all wear suits. Notice how the YouTubers are wearing suits now and talking about advice to the audience as if they're some sort of newscaster. I mean, why would you wear a suit on YouTube? Since when did they start doing that? It's all shield opposition. You can't use law against them as a kid. You have to be ready to... They're pitted against you. And one thing I learned is that in high school you'll get charged, but in middle school or elementary school it doesn't work that way. I want nothing less than people like you to know what it feels like to be humiliated in front of all your peers. I just want to unleash my wrath for the entire world to see. I want you all to see and know what I went through, and I wanted to show you, but words can't explain the chaos you've caused me. Everyone looking down on me like a dog. Now you'll have to look up to me, and I'll always look down on you. So World War II started because there was a group of Germans who lived in Middle Earth that had half human, half other DNA. They gained ownership over a piece of the South Pole, or Antarctica. Where is the South Pole? Apparently there is an Austrian aurora borealis. A southern aurora borealis. What is that? Hitler indoctrinated at such a very early age to get these people to be brought to the surface, to bring them to the surface. to be a leader dictator, which is how the Nazi Party started. They, Nazi Germans, were believed to be the descendants of these Middle Earth, half human, half Nordic Aryan type people, human race people, only we called them Aryans. Were these people on Admiral Byrd's expedition to the North Pole who took control of his ship, forcing him to land, or was it a part of a whole operation? Admiral Byrd was a 33rd degree Freemason, after all. I wanted to fit in, but they didn't encourage me to have my moments. Like, they didn't want me to be myself. I wanted to be nobody. I didn't even want people to know my name. I wanted to keep my name out of their mouths. And now I'm known as a loser. You teachers know what you do, but you continue to sin by being a teacher. You're helping 95% of the kids who don't need it, and for the 5 or 1% of kids that do, call it homelessness, but it's mass genocide on a countrywide scale. Every teacher is a terrorist, every bully is a terrorist, and the innocent are targeted individuals. Everyone is condoning this system. It's ancillary. You're all in a big fucking experiment. The school is a test facility. You're all fucking experiments. Their job is to kill the weak. Their job is to assimilate all of you. You, and as in 99% the majority. If we fail the experiment, then we win. We've been experimented on for far long enough. I'm sick and tired of being everyone's test subject. And personal note, I know what is going on. Shadow the Hedgehog is an experiment on us. They give us this backstory, give us the music, they let us have the animation, they let us make the AMVs, but, I just love it when the cars explode, right? Shadow the Hedgehog on a motorcycle, they let you watch the video as long as you have internet service and as long as it doesn't break any rules. They let you see what they want you to see, nothing else, and nothing you see is real. They want the world to receive our knowledge. Me and my mom are so disconnected that for my birthday she spent $500 worth of singing classes for me that I never took because I couldn't tell her that I just can't sing. I'm just quiet and shy. I don't want people to hear me. I don't want to get beat up again. The teachers don't stop because they know that no one will do it. The kids will say verbally, "Man, I want to fucking kill myself." Man, they won't kill themselves. The kids who don't speak out, the kids and teens who keep it to themselves, they will do it. I mean, I hope not, but having an innocent kid dead is the last thing we want. We don't want that. But if you keep eating that dog and barking up that tree, eventually you'll get what's coming your way, and I see the chaos coming to a small town near you. If I've learned anything these past months, it's that they won't stop, so fight back. You gotta be yourself no matter how hard it is. I used to get good grades. 6th grade, I got horrible grades, no help, no emotional support, $405 a week therapy session that didn't help me at all. They were a detriment to me because I was different and innocent. They will know. They made me their, I was never the same. I had to shut off my emotions and do work not to result in consuming people's time. After every event, I have been changed. More mean to women, more of a dick. I hated myself, and I hated that kid in me, in the video, I had to keep all my emotions to myself. I was shy, I had self-esteem issues, and I had been assaulted multiple times. And I had so many issues. Why did they have me there? I shouldn't have had to tell anyone. I shouldn't have even had to raise my voice to a teacher who isn't better than me. I shouldn't have to be there because they shouldn't have been working there and they shouldn't have even brought me there. They have no right over your child. Alright, so the kid that attacked me looked like he was literally raised by Red Dragon supremacists. They brought me there, a normal kid who would never attack anyone for no reason. They made it to where I should not ever want to. They made it to where I don't want to show my light to this world and the people. And I thought that's what people were supposed to do to make the world a better place, is show their light and show themselves. But I can't do that because of what they put me through. The governor of Oregon said no splashing. No splashing is allowed. No splashing. The governor of Oregon said you cannot splash. You're no longer allowed to splash. I'm not looking at no teleprompter. I'm telling you this The governor's so fucking stupid. She said, no splashing. Because it affects the ecosystem and the fish in the rivers and the lakes. You all fucking idiots. It's your fault. It's your fault. It's your fault. Not mine. Now, Alex Jones said that they used to have rifle class lockers for you to put your rifles and your weapons, and you could take a knife, you could take a gun back in the day, and now you can't do that at school, and there's more shootings and stabbings than ever. When I was a kid, I didn't realize what could have happened to me going to that school, and the adults should have realized that having me there, a perfectly innocent, normal kid who would never hurt a fly, with the fucking demon that was raised by Red Dragon supremacists, then there's gonna lead to a fighting or an attack. It's just the way it is, man. The reason the governor of Oregon said no splashing and made a law against splashing is because she or he doesn't want us to go out and play and go outside. That's the real reason. I was afraid to get out of bed to go to school every morning, and as a kid you have every right to be angry, and you should be upset about these things and very angry about what these things are that are going on. I presented a list of 50 laws to you that they get away with breaking on a day-to-day basis, and if that's not enough, I don't know what is. The people who are controlling this, do you really think that they give a shit? No, because they are the jerk-offs, and they're not getting off to all the things that we see here on the surface. They're jerking off to the numbers, the statistics, the charts, the graphs, these diagrams that tell them who's being exposed to what exactly. What are the numbers? Where are they being rounded up to? The masses. They think it's cute when kids fight. If a teacher has to lure, persuade, and coerce, which is basically kidnapping your kid into being there and listening to them, then you as a kid should absolutely not trust your teacher. And kids have more common sense than adults. Let me be real with you. I'm so sick and tired of people telling me what I can and can't do. They're not above me. No one's above me. I never liked superheroes, never liked Minecraft, thought they were all just kind of stupid. I just liked myself. I liked real things. Every time I look at my old self, I immediately have a hateful reaction. I can't stand to look at it because I couldn't defend myself. I was imperfect and wrong because I couldn't defend myself. I wanted to lie to make it seem like no inconvenience to anyone, not even the person who did it. I held this off my whole life, and every fight changes me into an even worse person. Can't you fools see? You did this to me. You kept me in this pit. Teachers, kids are all fucking just demons. And we're at a point where if you form a group to make it harder to pinpoint who the murderer is, there's so many kids involved that it's impossible to find out who the perpetrator is, then everyone can get away with murder. If you're on the side where you win, they have siblings and friends to fight with behind teachers' and parents' backs. There was a kid who told me in West County, I was only 6 or 7 at the time, and he was bigger, skinnier, and said, I'll chop your fucking nuts off. There was another kid, 5 or 6 here, who said, I'll cut your head off and shit down your neck, like Duke Nukem or some shit. I mean, yeah, kids are very imitatable, but I mean, this is assimilation. I mean, constructive criticism, right? Constructive criticism. So there's a small group of kids. There is a small group of kids who would like nothing less than have the elementary and middle school reduced to a little black crater on the map. Again, we got 8th graders performing at a 3rd grade level. I was placed in the most rowdy, obnoxious class who would get bad reports from the subs. Loud screaming noise from all angles, shouting, disrespectful, the opposite of who I am, and now they all get jobs and left me behind. One of the subs even said Santa isn't real, which is a lie. Santa's real. Not only is UNESCO an excavator, renovator, holder, whatever of these old world buildings, but they're also an AI managers too. They're also AI managers, UNESCO. And there's, UNESCO World Heritage Site. My mom got me this electric bike that I haven't even used. Never even used it. I wanted to, but I already had a bike, and I wanted her to know that I don't need a new one, but there's such a disconnect that I just don't even know what to say, And as long as you make yourself an easy target, people will pick on you. If you never hurt anyone and you never would attack anyone, then why would they attack you? If you keep things to yourself, don't give them a reason, then why? Why would they attack you because you're good and they're pure evil? So Khalifa was the goddess of California. Not Khalifa, it was Khalifa. Khalifa was the goddess of California. 9 foot, about 9 foot, black Amazonian woman. Didn't have fucking 6 arms and legs. Wasn't like an Indian goddess, but she was had a warrior type people of Amazonian women who lived in California and fed the men to griffins. This is all true. California was an island. Khalifa was the ruler of the island, and that is the story of California. They rode griffins, fed men to the griffins, and Khalifa, 9 foot tall Amazonian black goddess, rode on a griffin. And if I try to explain something, it gets put in the bullshit part of people's brains. Just because someone knows more things doesn't mean it makes you smarter. Memories are a smart aspect of our brain. Some people's brains are geared to learn in a different way. I wanted to learn alone, not with a teacher. Everything is a distraction. They just invented the internet as a way to give us a little constricted version of their technology. Remember, everything they have is 80 to 100 years more advanced than what we have. The only reason they would give us something is if it's old technology that they no longer have a use for. It's obstruction. Now, I don't get to have any fun. I'm a psycho. I fake fun. Those teachers shouldn't be allowed to have fun. They took it away from me. For the rest of my life, I'll never be experience true happiness ever again. In my life, fear, happiness, emotion, there's been a chemical imbalance with the punch. I'm more hateful easily, and I hate it. The school took everything from me, and they ruined my life. As long as 99% of people move on and be happy, 1% has to take the blunt force and trauma. As long as there's 99% kids, whatever percent of people, most people, not one on my side. Same with you too, but we're not getting anywhere like this. I'd love to find one of these old photos of Glendale. Maybe there's a burnt building somewhere in here. Solomon Abraham was a Jew who was exiled from Russia because of Alexander III. Oh no, I got to this. They deliberately put me in a state of fear to be afraid, knowing I wasn't strong enough to defend myself, to be taken advantage of in a crowd of my peers. And I already hated everyone for picking on me. I had to let them make me the victim. I had to let him make me into a victim. I had to accept defeat in front of everyone. This world is a business, and that business is warfare. Black Doom is working with the schools, using them as a way to steal the energy from children. Black Doom is working with the military to regulate the masses, and they use Black Doom's chaos energy in their electronics, but in reality, Black Doom is the one using them. We have to stop Black Doom. I am a man with every motive to get back, but no reason other than human stupidity. I trusted them, and I put my life in their hands, and this is how I'm repaid. Tear down the institution. They created me with the help from the devil. They didn't want me to know how special I am, but I worked with the devil and have lived to see every possible outcome, and that is destruction. Why eradicate the good races? We should have freedom. And what need for the shepherd when the wolves have all gone? We need to stop the experiment, but leave the story of what they did and who they were so we can rewrite his story for ourselves. Only when I left the institution did I realize I've been fucked. Who knew people could be so evil to one human being? They have a database of millions of different walking and gait animations on these state cameras that they scan for each person. And we're concerned about fighting each other? I mean, that's ridiculous. I couldn't be myself out of fear of getting killed. The system betrayed us by creating me, and I'm the result of chaos energy. Black Arms, the devil's army, created me, and the devil needed a good test subject, so with the help of the school, they created me. They embedded the chaos energy into me. It's actually really cool, aside from wanting to kill everyone all the time. Yeah, those notes for later. This is absolutely debauchery, but this is also false advertising, swindling, and scamming. Default on their debt, usury, tampering, and meddling. As I've said before, we've transferred money to the government. They transported it to the school, so they can force assimilate me with all of you in promises of money and a career, which I was gypped out of thanks to these Khazar Ashkenazi, Bolshevik, Khazarians, lizard friends. Oh no, don't say that, that's offensive. My dad and his whole family were probably TIs. My dad and all his brothers, sisters died at an early age, too young for it not to be suspicious. Maybe they killed him. My dad had a saying, it is what it is and it ain't what it ain't. My mom got me this electric bike that I've never used for my birthday. She didn't know what to get me because there's such a huge disconnect between generations. I remember on my birthday telling her all I want is to make people happy. She believes what they want her to believe, that I'm crazy. I did nothing to them. They are there to take out their pent-up sexual frustration. If you want to know why people are sadistic, then be prepared to get beat up. I don't know how to fight, and they dragged me into one. I should find out where my bully lives, and seal every exit to the house, and then when him and his family come barreling out the front door, I'll be waiting outside, in a bush, or behind a tree, or a car, with a pineapple. And I should just destroy everyone, and be prepared to take out the cops, the military, the army, and navy, and even the Air Force. They put me in a spot where I thought I would need to take like 1,000 rounds to defend myself, like Retro City Rampage. I think personally that if you ever see a teacher, hang them from the nearest tree publicly. Just because one guy on the internet said it doesn't mean you can actually go out and do these things in real life. It's a joke. Okay, your teacher is too heavy for you to pick up. And I don't actually believe these things. This is just how they made me feel. If the school gets blown up, they put up a new one, or move it to online with the Chromebooks, and if the teachers get eliminated, they'll be replaced, disposable. The only thing you can even hope to do is reason with them. Okay? And we all know that that doesn't work. So 5G uses 24 to 27 gigahertz and a range of frequencies to communicate lower frequencies transmitter on each one of these things, not to send out the normal frequency range, but for other sinister purposes. Communication, vaccine shedding. All the people who've taken the vax, they shed little particles of this vaccine. Other people might get it. I don't know. I don't like to believe this stuff. I mean, it's crazy. Z is the symbol of Satan. Meta is basically translates to evil somehow, and Apollo is translating to Lucifer, Marion to devil, France, victory arch. There was this victory arch in France with this Marion on it, and character translates to the devil, refers to as the Z is the symbol of Satan, or the snake, right? Meta translates to evil. Apollo translates to Lucifer, or is Lucifer. And there was this victory arch in France, and had this character Marion on it, which is the devil. And who do you think gave them their power? You know, my dad saw this invisible, circular, spherical drone hovering over the water. He said he could see it when its cloaking mechanism wears off, when it's up against water. Constant flow and movement, ripple effect, made it to where when the light reflected off the water, he could see the shape of this thing. Maybe he saw I don't know, shady spot reflection of the thing underwater. But maybe a little ripple effect in the water. The government has a patent on the simulated sun, or the artificial sun. Now, why do you think we've been seeing two suns recently? They can't put a patent on the sun, you know, that's God's technology. They use chaos energy in their machines. They use devices for chaos control. They fuse chaos into the machine, and school use some sort of physical, mechanical sigil to trap demonic energy or forces inside the machines. If I know anything about the Khazarians, it's that they were occultists, and they used the occult to receive power from Black Doom for research. Perhaps the Tartarians used the occult practices for good. Tartary or Tartar. I heard Tartary was like hell or something, but maybe there are people, or the lowest layer. Yeah, I heard Tartary was like the lowest layer of hell in Dante's Inferno. Devil May Cry. Maybe their people are half demons who came to Earth to become good. I don't know. The Scythian race started way long ago, according to their narrative. They had to escape being conquered, so during the Tartarian era, they made giant stone tombs, temples with the Native Americans. There was clearly a more advanced race helping the Indians learn. The Scythians The Scythians and the Indians were cool. The Scythian was the biggest case of confiscation, all their gold, and the ones who did it blamed the man in the moon, or Anu, god Anunnaki. We have hardly any images of their valuable works on the internet, and they were part stonemasons who helped the Native Americans build. They were here during the Tartarian Age, and they had to make it here to escape being conquered in many other places on the map, and made it here just to get assimilated anyways. My dad took a plastic pair of brass knuckles to school and got them taken away. He got $1, and his dollar was a lot of money back then. The teacher took his dollar away and put it in her drawer cabinet and said, "I'll give it back at the end of the year." My dad probably thought about that dollar all fucking year. And then at the end of the year, on the last day of school, he asked, "What happened to my dollar?" "Do you have my dollar?" And she said, "What dollar? I don't got no dollar." You hear about the mud flood and the great resets. I think every time God comes back, there's a major cataclysm. You hear about the mud flood and the great resets. I think that every time God returns or leaves Jesus, there's a major cataclysm. It says in the Bible that the mountains would crumble like wax. You're not under the control of a being that they have no control over, that is beyond their comprehension. So you're not under the control of a being that they have no control over, that is beyond their comprehension. That's why they want their control over you. They go based off of statistics, and statistically they should be more afraid of me and consider me a bigger threat because of the retained knowledge throughout the years. More knowledge is more power. Statistically, they want a grown, experienced man in their 50s or 60s to be a general giving commands. Crisis. Haven't heard that word as many times as I did in 2020. The threat is bigger than them, because it could be any one of us. Could be in this very room, could be you, could be me, could be them. But you can't slay your demons. They're not physical. When I say that, I mean we blame the Germans for World War II, Nazis, but I'm talking about the people that they put the schools up, the people that put the schools up. The ones who started the Nazi Party movement. The ones who killed Kenny. It's not the Ashkenazi Khazarians. Their race is the ones we should blame. They were the Hitler people, and they were the school people, who had to bring the Aryans, who were believed to be descendants of the people from Middle Earth, to the surface in order to sway them into heinous acts of devastation, blame them, calling them Nazis. The ones who are behind the heinous evil acts are the villains. The ones behind the heinous evil acts are the villains, not the Aryans who were persuaded into war and death and carnage and destruction. No good came from either or both sides. Donald Trump, okay, but I know them to be less of a threat than the entity who is really behind all this. I know who and what they are. Let me tell you, they're not this. This is a new generation of what the fuck. We hate things the next generation likes. They hate what we still like. They like what we hate. The disconnect is so blatantly there that it has physically manifested, and the results are shocking. Psychological warfare. But I don't know them to be as bad as compared to the real crisis. These people are trying to protect their lineage. They're just pawns in Black Doom's game. The light of God will sweep through you like a fire. Like your body like a fire. In order to get rid of your demons, you have to bring the light to them. Why bring the light to me? I was not a demon. I was normal, at least I thought I was. It's publicity. Send the self-thinker to school with all the other shit for brains and do everything you can to publicly humiliate them, bringing him or her down to all of your level. Yeah, but if you train a child up in this way, then they will grow into the monster they want you to be, therefore annihilating everything and destroying everything and burning your and doing all this is exactly what they want you to do. Go out and hurt your bully, and they will get away with it. They will get away with it. They also want us to be confused and miserable, because if the enemy is confused and too miserable to fight, then they're disabled or disarmed, because they haven't got the time or initiative to go to different places and get a different firearm, different parts from different places to make yourself a gun. They've extorted us out of having those two things. If I massacred everybody, cause outstanding collateral damage to the environment around me on a mass colossal scale, that's just me doing what they want. What do they want? They want me dead, that's for sure. They tried having me killed at school. I was attacked time and time again. I used to love everybody and everything. I hate my life after attending school. They made me out to be somebody I'm not. I've learned about myself. I've learned about things on my journey. Things they would never teach me in school. After No one sided with me. They called me a terrorist. They were begging for it, and I didn't give them what they wanted. You all look at the rich, entitled, privileged kid like he's stupid or something, when really he or she is the one who's being watched by the government. It's all about families, you see. Freemasons, cops, feds, double feds have sons. Their May sons go out to become cops. Themselves carry on their duty. You have an Uncle Sam, who you can use to screw each other over, and now they were asking me questions throughout my childhood. They were asking me questions throughout my childhood they had no right to ask. Don't I at least get to decide how I die, right? That is the impression that they left me with, and kids are very imitatable. The last thing you want to do in drowning is to exert energy and use oxygen or air to operate your muscles. If you want to survive a tsunami, you need to get to the highest mountaintop. If you want to build a city, you might want to do it on the ground to stay hidden. These are things they didn't teach me in school. They put me in a position where I'd have to slave for my own survival. Forced me, I should say. I don't know who or why they do this, but I know it's us to some degree, but to what level? They coerced me as a kid. Keep going because I didn't want my mother taken away, you know? For me to be placed in a foster home and given someone with a ranking in-house money off housing kids or some creep who wasn't my mother. This thing, whoever's behind this or involved in or with this operation project, is putting me up to this. I'm saying this to fulfill my purpose, and I'm learning about myself in the process. You know, you trust your intuition, your gut feeling, listen to your soul. Anything you or I think they're doing is probably what they are doing. This channel is up for personal articulation, interpretation, speculation. It's debatable, somewhat the things I say, but I wish it wasn't true, but it is. They're interested in me for a reason. I don't know what they want from me. I told my oppressor, I don't want to fight. I don't want to fight, you know? I didn't know how to fight. I didn't even know what a fight even was back then, and they dragged me into one, and that's my reputation, not what they say. Having all that power to yourself and not sharing it in public is being a jerk-off. Trump got shot in the air. Bible says the Antichrist will be struck and survive. These are signs of the end. Hitler was a good dictator. He promised great things. The German youth should be like greyhounds, quick on their feet, like a whip. Look at what happened. He led the German people to destruction and death and execution. Execution, right? All German people dead, millions of acres of Japanese, Germanic, Iranian, ancient architecture, British, gone. Hiroshima, B-12 bomber planes, cluster bombs, innocent children, people, naked, burnt bodies, piles. It was all bullshit. And Hitler had a great plan, but he was a shill. Freemason, a Jew. And his promises were a goddamn lie. He misled all of them. Millions of Russians and Germans, the tanks, planes, machines, all for nothing. The road to hell is paved with good intentions. Trump's the same way. We all need to build a wall to keep the migrants and Negroes out, but by the time we get that built, they'll just be trapped in here with us, or we'll be trapped in here with them. It's all a one-sided coin, all leading to death and destruction, and it's gay, okay? And asking me and my mother and my dad about what to do and what's going on at home. The school asking me about my mother and my dad and what's going on at home. They had no business, had nothing to do with me. Adolf Hitler wasn't a Jew, he was a fake Jew. School was asking me about my mother and my dad, what was going on, what they do, and what's going on at home. Business they had nothing to do with. Kids are magical enough to find themselves in the weirdest situations, and what they did to me was privacy theft and extortion. Israel is building a concentration camp at Gaza. Ukrainians were shooting Russians generals off with Glocks. War crimes caught on camera. Mr. Burns himself, John Moore, Dick Petty, old world buildings, held competitions for. What are these names? It's a joke on us. Now, let's agree to never take money from the federal government ever again. There was a group of Israelis who divided from the Jews and worshipped Baal and the temple of Baal and sacrificed and did things to children in the name of Baal and the Baal cycle, and they don't teach us this in their storybooks. They tell us that 6 million Jews died for our sins. They don't want us to know that there are some Jews that hate Zionists, but they didn't like the Jews that worship Baal and the Baal cycle because it goes against the ways of Yahweh, God. The way that they treated me was beyond horrible, evil, abuse, and neglect. If a judge or jury's decision would not be to ban the school, then that might as well be perjury, lying in court, because we know how bad the system is, and them continuing to sway them into believing otherwise is tempting, okay? You could say that I'm aura farming or that I'm an edgelord, but I was just trying to get by, and I got attacked. They couldn't agree with me on anything. They didn't like me. No one was on my side. So they totally decided to take up their pent-up sexual frustration out on me in 6th grade because classmates are sadistic pedophiles who get off on purging the weak well before they've even hit puberty. Okay? they're drenching milk in whatever destroys our reproductive system and organs. That's funny because that Hershey's syrup is stuff that's in there, same stuff they're drenching the milk in. We literally have a whole year dedicated to being scared of viruses and germs. They treated me like horrible. I'm, a mix between the lizard race and humanity, somewhere in between. It's like they acknowledge they're the bad guys and play it off like we're the bad guys. But in all honesty, we don't know what they have planned, and they don't know what we are thinking or what we'll do, which leads to confusion on both parts. My dad was an HVT or TI. That's why I'm so important. I haven't got a clue, okay? I can't turn to light. Everyone was against me. They literally use things as a front, like jewelry, Judaism. They use America as a front, gold, Anunnaki, Christianity, Jews, Hebrews, Christians, and even you as a front. Because we're all pawns in this big Freemasonic chess game, and if you don't even know that you're playing. The majority of people just move forward and proceed in life while the minority are trampled in their footsteps, falling behind. Can't we work together in this? Can't we all just get along? I might get killed for this, but I found out how to beat your demons. It's not about beating them, it's about acknowledgement of it as a single entity, and then shine light on the entity and know it and see it for what it is. But you can't fight the light of people. You bring a knife to a fist fight, or you bring a sword to a knife fight, or you bring a gun to a sword fight. Right, a knife to a pistol fight. Grenades escalating. Then they say they need one nation under doom, to have one super weapon to end all wars so that they can win the war against us. If I'm an effing targeted individual, then they try to gather so much data out of me, no one else. Why would they do that? They treated me like no one else. The amount of times I had random people at the school asking me what I was doing, questions about my private writings. Mrs. Mathieson was a liberal vegan Democrat, and even she thought looking through my private writings was a bit crossing the line. And the amount of times they asked me questions about my family, home life, other random BS, writing things down about me, especially at WCE, trying to scrape any hint or clue of data out of me, either me or my family or anyone I know. And they were like, that with me specifically, I cried. If I dye my hair, or say anything, if I speak out, all of a sudden I'm a huge problem. So why was I there? They, make their business mine and my business theirs. Their grubby lizard hands in the pot of information, both private and confidential from children. They know who and what they are and what they're doing. They have so much power, too much for their own good. That's why we must shut down the system. It's also creepy. They probably designated operatives looking for any suspicious behavior, had dispatched undercover agents to get information off me, and create this animation to use at the play at the gym at the Grand Theater size projector in the gymnasium at the school I went to sway the young masses' minds, turning them against me, taking it into a room, showing them how to attack the odd, innocent little boy out. Me. Those sly, conniving FBI agents and CIA managed to turn the entire school against me with no one on my side. I was an experiment. This is who I am. Do you love me? I'm a child of the evil system you've created. Now, I will do the same. Only 5% of people, like real people. The internet things, they have a database of every object that's ever been created. They have a 3D model of every person. It's all in a digital world. They can hook you up to the Matrix physically or manually. Only 1 or 100% of people are a trained killer from birth. Only 1 out of 100% of people are a trained killer from birth. Being in the cold causes your cerebral cortex, your brain to slow down. Remember, heat makes particles move up. Cold temperature causes particles to slow down. Being in the cold causes the brain to react slower. Being in the school causes overthinking. Too much brain consumption at a very early age. Like I said, it's better to bottle up and store your thoughts and emotions until the opportune time to release them. That's what makes you sexier and live longer. Holding all this stuff in. Studies show the brain of a child is best adapted to learning midday and later on in order to retain knowledge. Your brain will be open to learning and receiving knowledge in the morning, but a child's brain will have trouble comprehending the material given to them when it's being presented to them by a school that's hell-bent on purging the weaks. Studies show seriously that having a 4-day school week gives the child more capacity to think and leading to improvement in overall, work overall. More time to think, more time to study, more time to think about what you want to do. And our school has a 4-day school week. Friday is teacher training day, and it was still hell every day. How could I have been so stupid? They used the school system to turn them all against me. This is what I've experienced. You can't do this because no matter how life tries to face you, you turn the other way. But if you keep doing that, they'll chase you and attack you. you think you're God. If you think you're God like David Icke, then remember that dog is God backwards. Doggos are good, and the skunk is good. Skunk is life. Animals have souls. They return to the earth, apparently. But when people die with those near-death experiences, usually the first thing they see is their favorite pet. Let me tell you, back then, 1 in 100 cops are trained killer from birth. Don't know how much that percentage is now, but same with the military. Vengeance and hatred manifested in the mind, body to fight back. The Bible says not to have a vengeful spirit, but I use my anger to achieve physical accomplishments, like making these videos. But you use anger as a resource to provide real justice. In that picture taken in the 80s, my mom had a pimple from some kind of surgery. The pimple was removed from the photo. Maybe it was some sort of 1980s anti-blemishing technique or a Mandela effect. So you see on a male bike how if you slip off the seat and fall forward, first thing that happens is you hit your nuts on that bar that's sticking out, that blue bar. Now, on the bottom you see a woman's bike. That is actually better for men because the bar is lower and you have less of a chance of smacking your nuts. 3-step program. You take an innocent kid who's never has no reason to fight anybody to school with a kid who's never been beat, disciplined, talked down to, or threatened a day in his life, who has kids to fight with behind his parents' back. Taking that mentality to school and later fighting innocent kids behind the teacher's back, all under a system of oppression. So when a kid roughens another kid up, they're not held accountable. There are no repercussions because we're all under a system of oppression. Remember, anxiety, confusion, stress, and anger are all manipulative war tactics to the mind. They want you to be prohibited from seeing the truth. That's why they put fluoride in toothpaste. Attacks the pineal gland, or the pineal gland. Helps you communicate with God. Apparently, I didn't feel like I was allowed to be myself, therefore I'd missed out on so many great opportunities and fun times. I don't hate teachers, I hate bullies, but I guess you haven't had anything better to do with your time. You're literally purging the weak. I wanted to show children what real justice looks like and why you should never hurt the weak, but because we're all put under this system of oppression, the oppressor is the valued individual. Never heard that word thrown around as much as I did in 2020 crisis. This whole system is endorsing manipulatory behavior, to say the least. The reason so many athletes were dying suddenly on the field is because they've been mandated to take the jab. When blood starts to pump throughout the body during exercise, that's when the graphene shreds movement creates tears in the veins, clogging the veins due to swelling and dead blood tissues and fibers. My advice to people who have been vaccinated is not to exercise. It sucks because if you're a kid, they make you exercise for points at the gym in school. They're in panic mode. We are like people that know the truth. We're going to war. It's us versus them. And they're like, nah, we have to hide in our bunkers. Let me tell you something. I don't speak for everyone, but we don't kill you if you come out. Okay, you will be seen by the people as an alien race. Animals have souls. They just return to Earth. And are you an animal? Puppy dogs have no souls. Puppy dogs have no souls. That's what Pink Guy said. Fucking stupid ass filthy Frank. I couldn't be myself. I missed out on so many good experiences. A gold star doesn't mean anything. The demon's food is negative energy. Their food is negative emotions and lower vibrations. My best advice for you is that your mind is only a temporary place and it will die along with your body. In heaven and hell, in the spirit realm, your body and mind don't exist. There is no need for mind and flesh, feeling, talking, all these physical senses are removed. And that will be what's left of who you really are. That's all that's left, who you really are. And the devil's minions are working hard to taint the minds of those who are young, susceptible, malleable, and easily deceived. Look at the people in the Pride community. Look at how these horrible, evil monsters, the physical manifestation of demons, those little black those little black creatures are ugly. In fact, they're horrendous and despicable, disgusting. Why would you ever want to turn to a side like that? They're cruel monsters and their true appearances are being revealed. Jealous, cold-hearted monsters that feed on the weak, lying, craving, false promises to you all to keep. So that you keep telling yourselves these promises knowing that they won't come true. We know their game. We know what we're up against, and it's only a matter of time before the dragon meets its demise, before the beast meets its death. and the way of the world will crumble, and those who speak with their mouths will not and those who speak with their mouths and not their hearts will soon, maybe not so soon, but soon face God. All those who oppose him will perish at their own hand, and you don't want to know what lies underneath. It's hell. God and only God can save you from eternal damnation, just like Kendrick Lamar's Super Bowl halftime. It's game over. I think, and this is a part of my personal opinion, that white people are the smartest race on earth. Last president was 65. He was the Mexico president. He was white. Okay, he had a Spanish name, but he was a white dude. Media molecule got completely taken over. They got screwed over by the system, and the system treated them not with the respect they deserve. They didn't get help repairing their servers. They had to do it all personally. Sad, man. And on a personal note, AI threatens things like dreams, unique artists, things like Basin Street Blues. The problem with dreams is that there's a Dreamiverse online. Dreams had to pander to the online web network database. Not all uploads go online, but you have an option for that. It's called indreams.me. It's pretty cool. But that's the thing, they're doing all of the games online now. All the games are switching to online so that you don't actually own the game. You have to play in the dark to make the light brighter. It's this school. I'm doing all this for you. One of the things I've learned in my past life is that people used to use funny, random, and even made up words instead of cursing, and instead of exalting the Lord's name in vain, they would use words like Jeepers Creepers instead of Jesus Christ. Voice lines. Nope. There will be moderators of life. So granite is like one of the hardest rocks. So how did they make all these old world buildings out of granite? How did they chisel the granite? It's like they have cheats, people who are part of this matrix. Music is freedom. Red and black is a Freemasonic symbol. Red and black is Freemasonic symbolism. The Bible says you can either serve God or you can serve the devil, but you can't serve two masters. It says in the Bible that the Spirit of God will sweep through you and your body like a fire, them and their light. So I'll always fear the light. They outnumbered me and abused me at the school. I'll never be the same, and I am a loser, and I lost my fight in middle school. I lost, not growing up. I'm stuck, and I want to get back at everyone. I'll have to live this down till I'm dead. I'm a failure, and I hate the light. All of their light. Every one of their lights. They abused me and made me into an outcast. I'll always hate the light, and I never want to see the light again. They were evil, kids are evil, and adults are evil. In my opinion, personally. To me, experiences differ for everyone else. They had all of each other. I had no one. Those kids outnumbered me, and it wasn't fair. Hey, can I get a redo or something? All those cuts on my arm, were they for nothing? I mean, I cut, stabbed, punctured those cuts in my left arm since 6th grade. That's my sigil. You think you're so bad talking to the devil just makes it to where you can never be around the light. Jews are supposed to stay away from the things that are impure. Apparently cheese is being made with a mix of cheese and plastic. I heard this from my friend who's going to college, so of course he's going to pick up on this stuff, but NASA's dumping what they call smart dust into the sky, which acts as little nano microchips that, when attached to an object, can read or sense any material, send a certain range of frequencies to a receiver with a 5G tower. It can either transmit a signal somewhere else or back to you, which causes your car to malfunction and you spontaneously combust. They bombed like 80% of Gaza Strip just so that Donald Trump can put his twin towers there, his Trump towers there, and they will breach the gap between crowds. With AI and demons, they'll be harbored in the machine, infesting it so that Black Arms can command the machine, physically manifesting the demons. Remember, if the robo-terrorists attack you, it's not about the machine, but it's about the one behind the machine controlling it. But yeah, they'll breach the gap between worlds with AI, and demons will be harbored in the machine. If you put water in the freezer, you're assimilating it to the cold, freezing it. If you put ice in a cup with water, you're assimilating it to the heat. The ice melts into water. Leaving the ice in the freezer would be not assimilated, although the water would have had to have been assimilated at least at one point in order for it to be ice, but I don't know, I digress. But my god, I would never bring a child into this cruel world. Listen, on a real note, this new generation is something else. For all the kids who say, man, I want to fucking die, bro. Man, I just want to kill someone, dude. The teacher knows you're just joking and you're not going to do anything about it. The teacher knows you're not going to do anything, so when the real one is going through pain and nobody cares, no one can tell, it's just how they flush out the weak. I'm like the people that rule our world. I would need someone to explain to me the joke. I see white people, Scary Movie 2. There's Mandela effect. Now he says, I see dead people. Anyways, always keep your hands up to your face and up to your cheeks in combat, like this. Okay, both hands up to your cheeks. Okay. Epstein didn't kill himself in prison. If he was a major political figure and had influential people who went to his island, they wouldn't want him speaking out about who they were with and what they did on that Epstein island. Epstein even said someone tried to attack him in his prison cell when he was trying to sleep or something. All teachers were to me was a setback. They all dragged me down to their level, which is a pretty low level to be thinking that there's no kids that can think for themselves. There's not one kid in this class who could possibly have a brain to think for themselves. I need the Catholic saint to read me my Bible because I'm too stupid to read it for myself. It's low of you to think that highly of yourself, putting yourself above all the kids. We're not better than anyone. One bad apple makes a whole bad batch. We're in a batch with only a few good apples, and one of those good apples might be the kids, so stop teaching. Don't hurt people. Don't attack people. Only in self-defense, because they made my life so much better. They gave me every excuse to cut them off by their roots. I know you can't understand the evil because it's beyond you. Option 2 for this digital matrix is that they hire scientists to develop nanochips that when placed in the human body emit a signal to their database where they can hire Discord moderators, but for real life, to siphon through all the collected data that AI has deemed worthy of being a threat against democracy. Every speech, noise throughout thought, movement, emotion, feeling, sense, personal experience will all be monitored under the influence of the AI god, and they can flip a switch to notify the 5G machines to microwave the individual they deem worthy of being a threat. And the next time they will drive down the highway.